Love, and Marriage Huntsville. The last episode was episode 8, and this is season 10. It was called Huntsville, Alabama. I really like this episode. It was multifaceted, right? I want to talk about the scene with Fletcher and Martell first, just getting straight into business. Martell pops out and says that he is about to move Ariane Coleslaw, the Coleslaw Curry. Is that girl last name? I just made up something off the top of my head. Anyway, he said he was moving Coleslaw into the house. Now, this is the house that we've seen Martell fixing up for the last, 2 seasons? That he's been trying to sell and he still ain't sold. So, I guess he gonna move Ariane in and help him pay off the loan that it took him to fix up the house. Who knows? They're just my guesstimation. And so Fletcher asked him, so are you gonna move in with her? He was like, no, we gotta be married first. And like he do shit by the books. Sir, this is your paramour, is what they call it. I call it your hoe, but they call it your paramour. This your side piece turned peasant, turned girlfriend, turned mother of your child. Now y'all about to play house. Cut the cap, Martell. We know you moving in with her. You ain't got nowhere else to go. The people said his mama lost her house at some point, right? In the streets. That's what they were saying. This is all alleged. I have no idea. I'm just going my ear to the streets. So, of course, he got to go stay in that same house with Ariane because where else is he going to stay? Anywho, they finna shack up. Another scene that I really wanted to talk about was the scene with Marsau and his daughter, Maci. I really loved it. We need more TV like this. Showing real fathers, real parenthood, real conversations. And this did that. So as Marsau and Maci sat down to get pedicures, he proceeded to ask her, hey, have you ever played Never Have I Ever? And she's like, of course I have. So he gets to asking things and probing just to get information out of her. And I thought that was a very good way to like ease into your kid's business. I'm going to try that one. So good, Marsau. Side note. She looks so much like both of her parents. It's kind of hard to pinpoint which one she looks like the most. Oh my God. I've never seen such a thing. Okay. Beautiful girl. Beautiful girl. One part of this sit down almost made me cry. He asked her to rate them. And she was like, you know what? Hands down, mom's a 10. And he was like, oh, she's a 10. Where am I? She was like, you used to be way up there past mom, but now you're like a 6, 7. And that had to be a hard reality check. Recently, I asked my son something similar. He's 5 years old, to be exact. I was like, am I a good mom? And he was like, yes. And I asked him, what makes me a good mom? And we'll talk about that at some other time. Let's just stick to the program. I always get sidetracked. And he asked Maci, why do you give mom a 10? And she says, it's just because mom works so hard and she's always there. I felt me in that. Like, you work hard and you are always there. Y'all, that almost got the tears falling down my eyes. So I'm going to have to make this video cry. Because I ain't going to do it. He proceeded to ask Maci, how would she describe her mom in the family? This baby said, I don't know how old Maci is, but this baby was mature enough to say, if I had to compare mom to something in the house, she is the foundation. She is the foundation. That's a smart child. And for a man, I wonder what that made Marsau feel to hear that. If I'm a man and I heard that about my wife, that would make me want to go home and hug on her a little tighter, love on her a little harder, fight for her a little harder, do something just to please her if I haven't been doing the pleasing that she deserves. How can a man not love a woman whose children view her as the foundation? That baby said nothing moves if it ain't. Her mama is always there. Shit don't get done if her mama wasn't there. And naturally, any mother wants to hear that from her children, especially if they are young children. We don't think a lot of people, I do, a lot of people don't think kids understand real life things or things of importance. But this is just a testament that kids are human beings. They pay attention. They are aware. And at that point with that baby saying that, at this point, you have to know that when Letitia, her mom, is hurting, she is hurting. She's old enough to see what goes on this show, what these allegations are against Marsau, like about cheating and stuff. I'm sure that affects her. I'm sure it impacts her just like it impacts Tisha. So I hope that Marsau did go home and just tell his wife at minimum that he loved her. I don't know what they do on him. He probably does, but I'm just saying from my perspective and watching this episode, this is what I think, right? I like also how Maci held Marsau accountable in this conversation. And him ending, even when she held him accountable and told him, you know, you could be better, you could be there more, you could be around more, you could be involved more. I like that he didn't make her feel bad for telling her truth and how she views their family dynamic. And at the end of the conversation, I loved him reaffirming and reassuring her that she's a good child and that he loves her and that there's nothing she can't come to him for. And he reassured her that no matter how old she is and where she is in life, come home. I love that. That made me look at Marsau differently. I've always liked Marsau. I like him a little more. Now let's talk about this whole Trish and Ken situation. Honestly, they could have got rid of Trish and Ken last season and nobody would have cared. Nobody would have cared, I promise you. But in this scene, Trish sat down with Destiny and Destiny's homegirl to talk about the altercation that her and Ken got into recently. She said that Ken was in the basement or wherever they work out in their home. And obviously he was filming them working out. And Trish happened to walk past the camera and she didn't say anything to him. And in the video, Ken was like, I know you ain't gonna walk past here and not give me a kiss or not say nothing. Trish did not come back. Now, I've dated a man that would not have liked me to stop. If I know him, I would think he wouldn't have wanted me to stop. Because you're in there with your male friends. I'm thick and fine from all the cornbread and the cabbage. Got on my sports bra and my workout tights. It probably would have looked like attention seeking, right? Depends on the man. I'm just saying. So Trish probably didn't want to bring attention to herself. She could have just been walking by to get something, trying to get back to what she was doing. I don't know, whatever the case may be. But Ken took offense, I guess, because when a man say, hey, you gonna walk by and not say nothing to me or come give me a kiss? He was looking for that reassurance for her to come back while he in front of his dudes, give him a kiss. And so he can be like, you know that bravado thing. Like, yeah, that's my bitch. You know, that's my bitch. Yeah, come here today to give me a kiss. It probably bruised his ego that she didn't. And it looked embarrassing in front of his friends. That's what I'm going to chuck that up to. But anyway, Trish says he then comes upstairs hooting and hollering and saying, I'm tired of this. And if I leave, I'm taking everything that I got that I brought with me. So her son Xavier hears this altercation. Here's what Ken says. Brings down the keys to the car that Ken gifted him and laid them on the countertop. How y'all feel about that? For me, I think it goes back to what I was just talking about with Maci and Marsau. Kids know. And he's a young adult at 18. But kids pay attention. They hear these constant arguments. So with that, imagine how many times he's probably had to hear Ken say he taking everything he got. And I do everything for these kids. That's what we gotta stop doing when we arguing with somebody. We have to stop bullying them with things that we've done, because a relationship is give and take. Don't do shit for me if I gotta hear about it every time we arguing about who did the dishes last, or about you getting your shit up off the floor. You know, I don't want to hear that. And for a child to be conscious enough that they took offense to it as well, Ken gotta stop doing this shit. Because now this boy is gonna be like, I don't want to accept shit from him if every time he get into it with my mama, he gonna threaten to take it away. So I didn't like that at all. And at this point, not only does Ken owe Trish an apology, he owes the children an apology as well. Because at this point, you have not, they are always just going to be offended because that's their mother when you argue with their mother in their presence. But now you're offending them and making them feel guilty for accepting gifts and pleasantries from you. So Ken is going to have to sit down with that young man and have a man-to-man conversation about the level of disrespect. Because at this point, it's disrespectful. When y'all need to argue, y'all going to have to take that shit outside. Because her son going to be ready to whoop on your ass in just a second if he ain't already tried. The last thing that I'm going to discuss from this episode, because I'm only touching on the hot spots and what I felt was important, was Martell sitting down with Marsau. And Martell leading, saying, you know, I just thought we squashed this little beef. How you think you gonna come squash something with me and minimizing the beef, in which you talked about you could have smashed my wife and you saw my wife getting smashed by some dudes? Martell is a mental case, right? He is looking at this at just to show value. But you can only go so low before somebody cuts your ass off completely, right? I'm cutting people off a wait list. I'm tired of people shit. Why do you think Marsau is going to come in here and shake your hand like a man when you have disrespected his family? And honestly, Marsau hasn't said anything about you that is out the way. Yes, he's made some little casual jokes, but Martell, you created the fate, your own fate. You lost your family, the everyday relationship with your children, for some fucking coleslaw. You could have got better damn slaw at KFC. Now you just done risked it all for some subpar coleslaw that just go lay on your hot dog. I just will never understand it. Martell ended this conversation saying, after his ego was bruised, let's just say that. His ego was bruised because Marsau shut him down and said, no, I don't want a relationship with you. Bro, that's done. Whatever brotherhood you thought we had is gone. Then, because Martell's ego was bruised, he was like, you know, just tell her to stop talking about my family. Because at the end of the day, Ariane is my family. She went from a peasant, now she your family. Just move away from us with this, Apollo. Just move away from us with this, Apollo. Anyway, I'm done with Martell. This was a good episode. Let's keep it coming. And let's talk about it next time. Bye.